The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Hello there. It's Friday already. Wow. Hey, I'm Mitch Goldberg. You're listening to Money in the Morning with Mitch Goldberg. And we could actually, hey guys, let's halt that music and let's get into the show. So we made it. It's Friday. This is a special day for me because I made it a whole week. This was my first week on LI News Radio, first week in this time slot, first week hosting a daily, not like a weekly or something, a daily live show. I want to thank you, the listeners, for giving me this opportunity and sticking with me. It's all about providing you value. And I'd love to light you up. I would love to get you totally pumped up and excited about something and, just giving you something to talk about, something real juicy all weekend, and just something that triggers people to really get them motivated. But we're talking about finance, personal finance. We're talking about the stock market. We're talking about borrowing, insurance, cars, leasing cars. All these things go into the show. And that's why it's called Money in the Morning. It's not just a business show. It's a personal finance show. And this might not always be so exciting, but if you learn from it, it is exciting. If I can help you achieve your financial goals, live a better life, if I can help you feel more confident about the future, then I've done my job. And that to me is very exciting. I want to be like your trusted coach, your achievement coach, your financial person. The point of the show is to help you become the best possible version of your financial self. Many of you are already there. So, so this just in. My friend Jerry, I'm streaming on Facebook as well, and Jerry says there's an echo. Is your monitor on? Okay, so guys in the studio, Sebastiano, could you take me out of line 2 over there? Because there is an echo, and I've noticed it also. It's kind of annoying. And, I don't know if it's just coming through Facebook or if it's live on the radio. In any event, the show must go on, and hopefully the studio will figure this out. Okay? So, and I see Bill is out there also. Hey, Bill, nice to see you. Yes, he hears the echo as well. We're going to fix that, guys. We have something in the works, hopefully by today or Monday. So I just bear with me, and hopefully it'll go away a little bit. But Sebastiano, there is an echo, and I think it's because I'm in that second line there in the studio. So back to you, because that's what the show is all about. It's about you, and I just want to give you value, and that's it. So I had the pleasure of hanging out last night with Tim Kennedy. Do you guys know who that is? He has a show on LI News Radio, and he is a great guy. He hosts a show. It's called It's Just a Mortgage. He's a reverse mortgage specialist. He's a mortgage specialist, but he made his niche on reverse mortgages, and we spoke a little bit about that, and we both see opportunities for me to be a guest in his show and for him to be a guest on my show. And great guy. So if you haven't listened to him on LI News Radio, definitely check it out. It's also a pleasure to come on the air with you guys right after the great Jay Oliver, one of the absolute best in the business when it comes to talk radio, and we're just very lucky to have him. Plus, I just love his voice. I could listen to it all day. So anyway, he's terrific. I want to talk to you about getting your spending under control. This is a big topic. I want to talk about this yesterday, and the time goes by so fast when you go live on radio for some reason. 10 minutes is like 30 seconds to me. But here's how we get control of our investments, because I see couples come into my office. We talk about investments, and they're starting to write in a notepad right in front of me, all the expenses from the auto insurance, the mortgage or real estate taxes, the big ones, food, and they're getting very granular. They're listing Netflix. They're just listing every little possible thing that they could spend. Well, we spent X amount on haircuts. We spent X amount on the dentist. Like, okay, and I just want to stop you right there. Because usually what happens is the discussion often devolves into an argument right in front of me, and I understand that. I was married too. I'm not married now, but we did not get divorced. So anyway, I'm not knocking you if you did. I did not want to be not married, okay? We are almost up to the 1-year anniversary of my wife's passing from ovarian cancer. So we're going to move on. So I've been thinking about that a lot because we're coming up to the 1-year anniversary. I think about it all the time, but that's the life of a mourner, right? So let's get back to you. Checking your head. Here's how you figure out what your spending is and where the budget shortfall is. It's not just because you have Netflix or because you go to Starbucks once a day or twice a day. A lot of my clients have that built into their day where going to Starbucks is not a big deal. It's totally acceptable. I want them to go. Thank you, Jerry, for the hearts. So just so you know, I'm streaming onto Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube as well. So we're worldwide. We are on LI News Radio 103.9 FM. You could follow along, of course, listening to the radio out of the region, linewsradio.com or the LI News Radio app, or just connect with me on social. YouTube is Client First Strategy. LinkedIn, Mitchell Goldberg, AIF, AAMS, Client First Strategy on Facebook, and at Mitch_Goldberg on Twitter. I'd love for you to follow, and the best part about that is you could actually talk to me and comment and ask questions, and we could connect. That would be the best, okay? So here's how you do it. You take the last 6 months of your checking account statements, and every month, it's very easy to do. We all have access to checking account statements. In fact, you have to have them. The bank has to send them to you. You see what went into it, what went out. You do that the last 6 months. The reason I don't do 3 months is because sometimes there's like an extra large or an unusual thing that pops in. You know, major roof repair, major health expense, something like that. And what you do is you go through each one. And that's where you see your shortfall. And if you're taking in more than is going out, well, that's good. You're living below your means. If it's even, what happens is if you had that one thing I just mentioned, like a roof repair, health cost, an emergency health expense, and that blew a hole, and that month you spent a lot more than took in as far as income goes. That tells me you didn't have an emergency fund. So it's very simple. A lot of people confuse their savings account with their emergency fund. Oh, I have X amount of savings. They're different. We'll get into that. But that's how you get a handle on where the leaks are, the money leaks. And if you're good with the difference, if there's a positive difference at the end of every month, and you're good with that, then you're in good shape. There's always room for improvement if you want it, but you don't have to. You're paying your bills, you're doing your thing, you've got a little left over. We could get into what to do with that leftover money. Build an emergency fund, then build a savings account. Savings account is for expenses coming up, let's say in the next 1 to 2 years. If you have a really big expense coming up, then you need a lot more in savings. And the rest of it gets invested. College savings for the kids, your retirement. That's what it's for. Goals that are out in the long term. And if you find that you have a deficit consistently month after month in your checking account or a couple of months, that is when you start to get granular and you start to look for the money leaks. That's when you might have to say, maybe going to Starbucks twice a day isn't good for me. Now, if they're positive and you go to Starbucks twice a day, good for you. Now, if you go to Starbucks twice a day because you're making a surplus every month, good for you. But if you are looking to do a financial plan and we see that you're going to need X amount of dollars by the time you're, let's say, 65 years old, as an example, to retire fully, well, what do we need to change now to help you get there? That's what we'll talk about on the back half of today's episode, and we'll review some of the important points that we went over last week, okay? So that's what this is. I know this isn't the most exciting stuff, but I want to make this exciting, but I really just want to give you some good value here and help you think in terms of what you could do to become better with your money. There's so many topics to cover here, and I'm enjoying this so much. I know I took someone's place here in the time slot from Brian. You know, the station made a direction change. They brought me in. So I appreciate all of you when you turn on the radio and you hear my voice and I'm not what you expected. I do appreciate you giving me a shot here. And we will continue in about a minute and a half. You're listening. Getting started. We are setting the clock, and welcome back, guys, to the second half of the show. You're listening to Money in the Morning with Mitch Goldberg, and I love the smell of money in the morning. It smells like victory. So clever, isn't it? You remember the movie Apocalypse Now? Crazy movie. If you haven't seen it, it's an ageless, timeless movie. It's like ageless, like The Godfather, like Goodfellas, like Casino. You could just watch the movie in 2023. It's perfect. You don't think like you missed it. All right. Yeah, it just works. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. So let's get back to getting your money under control. We started with this is you look at your checking account statements for the last 6 months. You look if there's a budget or deficit, a surplus or deficit every month. Hopefully you have more surpluses than budgets. Hopefully you have a surplus every month. Now, some people, you have your stuff together. And what I'm talking about is so elementary to you that it's not for you. I get it. We're going to talk about more advanced things, advanced planning, advanced investing, all of these things too. But we have to cover these fundamentals to get to that point with everybody. And I want to make sure that I'm, giving you value here and developing a relationship with you, the listener. Okay. I'm just so curious, where you guys are listening from. Are you listening in your car? Are you listening in your kitchen, your office? Are you just working out right now and you got your earbuds going? I mean, I would just love to know. We'll have to figure out a way to get that kind of information. I mean, I'll share with you. You can tweet me at Mitch_Goldberg and let me know there. I'll see it. You can follow me on social and DM me there or comment there, and that would be really cool. All right. So once you see that you have a surplus or a deficit every month, we have to get you to the point where you have a surplus every month. And let's say out of the last 6 months, you had only had 1 month that was a deficit because you had an emergency. Roof repair, automobile repair, something like that. And that blew a hole in your budget and that put you into a deficit. And sometimes you can't get out of the deficit because it's a big deficit. You go into credit card debt and you figure you'll pay it off over time. Now you're paying like 18 or 20% on that debt. That means you then have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a matter of financial maturity. You are not mature if you don't have an emergency fund. If you don't like that, it's too bad. You have to have it. Now, some of you can't help it. You are in dire straits and you are in really bad shape in your life because we have a lot of listeners. I don't mean to be insensitive to you, but your problems might be greater than what we could do just on a radio show. But by and large, if you need severe help or you're in a dire position, there are sources of help. And I will figure out those sources and I'll talk about them on the radio show so you know where to go. But right now I want to get into basic budgeting, okay? Once you see that you have a surplus, you're good. Go on with your life. Now, after that, we have to see what your goals are. If you have big goals, big retirement goal, college savings for the kids, we have to see how much of that surplus is going to help you fund those future goals. And if that surplus isn't enough, or if you are in a deficit every month or every other month, that's when we get into the granular stuff. And that's when you start to list the expenses that you spend money on your credit cards, like the Netflix, like the Starbucks. All of these things are what you start to look, you get granular. And you decide on what to cut. Obviously, you have to pay your basic expenses of utilities, food, clothing, shelter. But again, we're talking you have a surplus or a deficit every month. And then you get into your personal spending habits. And you cut out the things, not just that you don't need. Because if something brings you joy and gives you that necessary dopamine hit, that could be a need for you. And it's like dieting. If you go all out restrictive dieting, you might be good for a little while. Like, I'm going to go no carbs. I'm going to have no sugar or whatever, no cookies, no sweets. You know that after a little while, you break down, you binge, and that whole thing went out the window. Because as human beings, we are not really great with restriction, but we are good with priority. So when you cut your expenses, you just spend money on what is a priority. Now, maybe Netflix is not a priority for you. You could cut that out. I'm not trying to pick on Netflix. I have Netflix. I use it though. And I'm not the one complaining. So I'll do that. I'll cut something else out. But a lot of you need to say, what makes me happy, what brings me satisfaction, or the most satisfaction. The other stuff goes away. And just so you know, when you cut something out of your budget, it doesn't have to be permanent. You can always add it back in. Hulu, Netflix, the automobile manufacturing company, they will all be happy to take you back. They will all welcome you back with open arms. SiriusXM satellite, I canceled my SiriusXM satellite. It wasn't for me. And I get offers all the time to get like 6 months free. And this, they are happy to take me back. I just got sick and tired of all these little charges on my credit card statement. And often they weren't quite big enough for me to really do anything about, because it's not worth my time. But after all, I just got mad and I finally cut all these things out, and I feel better. And I feel like I've taken control of a part of my life that we all know it's easy to lose control of your money. Don't let your money control you. You have to control your money. You're the CEO. It's your job to decide where the money goes. So that's basically how we start with budgeting here at Client First Strategy. We take the big picture with checking account statements. Then we look at the granular stuff, and you have to look at the granular stuff. And I just am going to be your accountability partner and say, 3 days ago, you told me what you're going to cut out. Have you done it yet? So your homework for this weekend, guys, give me a little homework assignment, okay? Find one thing to cut out of your expenses. It doesn't have to be Netflix, but find something that's automatic. That's something that's automated on your credit card statement. You don't go to the gym much, for example. Get rid of that. This sounds basic, and everybody says they do this stuff, but when I sit down with people, even people who have substantial assets, who are really good savers and investors, they're guilty of the same exact thing. Just that we've this is annoying. I see this bill on my credit card. I just don't have time to squabble over $10 or $15. But they add up, okay? And you need to do it. And you need to take control. A couple of other things that we covered this week, okay? We spoke about the tax filing deadline is April 18th, October 16th if you go on extension. And you don't have to wait till April 16th to file your taxes. You could do it now. You just have to make sure you have it done by the 18th. Obviously, if you think you're getting a refund, it behooves you to file your taxes as soon as possible so you could stop giving the government a free loan and you could claim the money that is actually your money, okay? And then you could start getting return on your money. We spoke about stable places to keep cash, money markets, then CDs, and then T-bills. Those are Treasury securities issued by the U.S. Treasury, And the ones that are 1 year in duration and lower, 1 year, 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, those are called T-bills. And you get different rates of return, and they go higher for money markets to CDs to T-bills. And the 6 month T-bill is a little over 4.8%. So we covered a lot of things. And next week, we're going to talk more about Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. And I hope this is helping you out. Let us know. Comment on our Facebook page at LI News Radio. You're listening to 103.9 FM, LI News Radio. Following our show is Back to Business with David Levenstein. Preceding our show is Jay Oliver. And keep an eye out for Tim Kennedy's show, It's Just a Mortgage. And the LI News Group, they are bringing so much good content your way. So keep your dial plugged in. Glue it. Don't change it. Stick to 103.9. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk Monday.
Securities and investment advisory services are offered through Next Financial Group Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Client First Strategy is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group Incorporated. All the views expressed are those of Mitchell Goldberg and Client First Strategy and not those of Next Financial Group Incorporated. The views are general in nature and not intended to be investment advice. Any discussion of individual securities should not be construed as a recommendation or solicitation by our presenters. Next Financial Group Incorporated does not provide tax advice.
The views and